Over the course of 20 years, they have become more than a companion. They are virtually our new religion. Across the globe, 57 mobile phones are sold every second, which works out at 1.8 billion per year. Today, there are more mobile phones than toothbrushes in the world. And the big winners in this revolution are the mobile phone multinationals. It's party time at Apple, Nokia, Samsung, LG, Sony, Huawei, and HTC. But faced with these corporate giants, we asked ourselves a very simple question. Behind the scenes, how are our phones manufactured in Rubaya, in North Kivu? It's from here that most of the mobile phone brands extract the essential tantalum. However, we have barely even stepped off the plane before we start to understand exactly what it means to live in the world's second poorest country. In Rubaya, there are no roads, no networks, no electricity, no drinking water, and very little food. A river runs through its centre, but there isn't even a bridge to get across it. However, the city backs on to a gold mine, or rather a tantalum mine, that sits high up there. Miners squeeze themselves through these holes, with 3,000 people working here day and night. Last year, 360 tons of tantalum raw materials came out of these pits. A 40-kilo sack like this one sells for 600 euros to the brokers when it comes out of the mine, but fetches up to 3,500 euros on the international market. A wealth that should benefit the miners and at least guarantee that they have decent working conditions. We also trace back to the raw materials that our phones are made from. In Africa, men die to supply our mobile phones with minerals.
In this mine, 5 people die every month on average. It does meet your personal values.
Zuckerberg, who recently purchased a $300 million, 387-foot mega yacht, powered by for gigantic diesel engines, tells us about the importance of stopping climate change before we destroy the planet.
Challenges need global responses too. No country can fight climate change alone or prevent pandemics. Progress now requires coming together, not just as cities or nations, but also as a global community.
Starbucks have just hired a new CEO and he's already facing backlash because he'll be commuting to work via private jet. Even though he lives in California and the Starbucks headquarters is all the way in Seattle, Brian Niccol won't be relocating. Instead, he'll make the 1,000-mile journey 3 times a week in a private plane. It's all laid out in this offer letter, which was made public. The letter also says his base salary will be 2.4 million Australian dollars, but he could earn an annual cash bonus of more than 10 million Australian dollars, depending on his performance. People online have been quick to point out how bad private planes are for the environment. One person said, no company who truly cares about the climate would agree to this. And another said, do not let Starbucks convince you that they're environmentally conscious. On its website, Starbucks says it's committed to becoming resource positive, to give more than it takes from the...
She blinded me with science!
Commencez le travail.
Some rudimentary wooden planks hold up the gallery.
Combien d'heures vous restez par jour?
12 heures par jour.
12 hours per day, with a total daily wage of €5.50. Rock slides are what all the miners are worried about.
She blinded me with science.
Should we reconsider having children due to fears about the climate crisis? No, but we should reconsider the punishment for the 10% of the richest people that emit 50% of the global climate emissions. That's the thing with this, is no amount of kids that I push out is going to change the fact that billionaires are responsible for 50% of carbon emissions. Okay, that's the stuff that heats the planet. That's the stuff that contributes to the climate crisis. In fact, it would take one person 1,500 years to produce the same amount of carbon that a billionaire does. So billionaires can emit 1 million times more greenhouse gases than the average person, but y'all are concerned about how many kids we have? That just never sat right with me. The same thing with the paper straws. I'm drinking out of a soggy paper straw that is nasty while we are letting billionaires get away with contributing to a global climate crisis. And that's what happens when you individualize these things. You think that not having children and not experiencing the joy of having a family is going to help. And then y'all say, oh, well, we're overpopulated. That is an eco-fascist myth. Okay, let's start really examining who is really contributing to the climate crisis and stop individualizing it.
She blinded me with science.